Much managing their own schedule on the way up. And again, there's 4 of them inside that capsule, that Crew Dragon Endurance right now. Nicole Mann there in the center on the right. She's the commander of Crew-5. To the left there is NASA astronaut Josh Cassada. He's the pilot, both of them making their first trips into space. On the right side, that's JAXA astronaut Koichi Wakata making his 5th space flight with this mission. His first on a Crew Dragon, having already flown on the space shuttle and the Russian Soyuz. And then on the left there is Russian cosmonaut Anna Kikina, also making her first trip into space. So 3 first-time flyers, 1 very well-seasoned veteran on this Crew-5 mission, currently making its way to the space station. So as of right now, we're a little under 8 hours. We're at 7 hours, 45 minutes, 21 seconds and counting since launch. And we've still got a bit of a ways to go. We're less than 24 hours from docking at this point, but we still have a lot of the different phasing burns, or really firings of those engines on Dragon to catch up with the International Space Station. So we've already executed that first one, the first major phase burn, which kind of kicks everything off. That happens in the first hour of launch. That was done successfully. The next major maneuver is going to be that boost burn. That's going to do a big push to really raise up the Dragon's orbit. That'll be a little under a 9-minute firing of those Draco boosters on the outside of the capsule to gradually raise us up until we're only about 10 kilometers beneath the station. And then we're going to do a burn called the closed co-elliptic to really circularize our orbit. And this graphic is all relative positioning to space station. So you've got space station in the top left corner there. Those dotted lines represent an altitude beneath the station. And again, this is not drawn perfectly to scale, but we'll get through that closed co-elliptic burn. We'll do another one called the transfer burn. That'll put us up on an orbit just about 2.5 kilometers below the station, so a lot closer. We do that final co-elliptic burn, again, just to circularize things, and that's when the action really starts to pick up. We'll get into integrated operations. The crew by that point will be awake. They'll put their SpaceX suits back on. They'll get into their seats. We'll typically do a round of leak checks. So crew will get suited up. We'll head into integrated operations, where the team here in Houston, working in stepwise fashion with the team out there in Hawthorne at MCCX, overseeing the flight of Dragon, while the team here in Houston oversees the integrated operations as we bring Dragon closer and closer in to the space station. We'll execute that approach initiation maneuver. That'll move us in closer, and then we'll start stepping through what are known as the waypoints. So these are pre-positioned areas around the station where Dragon can either hold if we need to, or if everything looks good, we'll just continue to fly through them. So waypoint 0, 400 meters below. Waypoint 1 is going to be about 220 meters just in front of the space station. So we're going to the node 2 forward. So this is actually a view from Crew 1. So this is a little bit different than what we'll see, but this gives you an idea of what it's like to actually fly up to the space station. So in this instance, this is a Dragon approaching the zenith of the space-facing port. That's why you can see the Earth passing beneath the station, and you can see a Dragon actually docked still to that forward port. So where you see a Dragon dock, that's where Crew-5's headed. There's currently the Crew-4 Dragon, Dragon Freedom, is docked to the zenith port. So they did essentially what we're watching right now. This is a replay, though, from the Crew-1 mission. But once they get onto what's known as the docking axis, that's essentially right in front of your docking port. And for Crew-5, it's going to be 220 meters in front of the Node 2 forward port. They can pause, or they'll pass right through. If we get the go from the team in Houston, that'll move them inside the keep out sphere, eventually moving until we get to waypoint 2. That one we will pause, and that's where we do our final go, no go for docking. So that's just final checks. Everybody on the SpaceX side and the NASA side, the international partners operating the space station, all confirm they're ready for the station to receive Dragon, and everything on Dragon systems look good. And then it automatically does that final fly-in from just 20 meters away, ultimately linking up with the station in that Node 2 forward port. And then we step into all of the usual hatch operations. That takes a couple of hours to pressurize the vestibule, that space between the two hatches. We have one of the crew members on station, who in this case is going to be Kjell Lindgren, is going to be leading the hatch operations on the station side. And then we'll have the crew, 5 astronauts on board. We're going to have 11 crew members on the space station for a short period of time. But once Dragon does arrive, we'll get to a grand total of 5 vehicles docked to the space station. As mentioned, we'll have 2 Dragons. We'll have Endurance on the forward port, right as you can see it now added there. Crew Dragon 4, Dragon Freedom, still docked at that Zenith port. It'll stay there until next week. And then we have 2 Russian Progress vehicles delivering cargo to the Russian segment, along with Soyuz MS-22, which just a couple of weeks ago delivered 3 of the newest crew members on board, including NASA astronaut Frank Rubio, also making his first flight into space.
Go for Dragon.
Hey, Nicole, just checking in. You've got a new shift down here in Hawthorne to get through docking today. No major changes to your timeline. We see you about 2 kilometers below the station and 30 kilometers behind, but catching up fast with the approach U-burn in just about 6 minutes now.
Okay, Dragon copies. We see the OOP burn, and we also see AI, and we got a good view of station already. It was looking pretty beautiful out the window. Looking forward to working with you, Jake, and team.
Excellent. Glad to hear it, Nicole. As a FYI, station is not tracking any major issues today heading into docking either. On the other side of the OOP burn, the next big event is Suit Dawn at 1843. Feel free to start cleaning up the cabin in preparation for that.
Sounds like a good plan. We're going to change into comfort garments, so if you could go external on cameras.
Standby 1.
And there it is. There's the International Space Station as seen from Dragon. As it approaches, we'll continue to see this grow larger and larger in the frame of view. And in this view here of the International Space Station, you can make out the solar arrays. Those are those pieces on either side. Now, right now, Dragon is getting its power from its own solar arrays that are found on the trunk of the vehicle. But once it does dock to space station, some umbilicals will be hooked up, which will provide power from the space station. So at that point, Dragon will be configured to be receiving its power from the space station.
And it looks like that is a view from station of Dragon. So there we can see planet Earth rotating as Dragon catches up to the space station. As I mentioned before, I love views like this because it kind of shows just how grand all the operations are. As we've said multiple times, everything is very controlled and choreographed, and it's pretty cool to see Dragon just get closer and closer. We saw the crew in their seats earlier, all strapped in with their suits on. But as I mentioned before, I would personally just want to have my face against the window the whole time, just looking out. There we can see that the nose cone has been deployed. We did that several minutes after liftoff. I think it was around T plus 12 minutes or so. And we do that once Dragon has already passed through the atmosphere of Earth, when it's in, then once it gets into the vacuum of space.
And there you can see that view again, the moon in the farthest portion of your screen there, the furthest back circle, Dragon in the middle, and the International Space Station in the closest field of view, of course, with our pale blue dot underneath it.
The station and Crew Dragon are traveling at 17,000 miles per hour, 17,500 miles per hour. around planet Earth. So while it looks like Earth is rotating slowly, it's actually going pretty quick. The station is roughly 250 miles above Earth. You can think of that as the distance from Los Angeles to San Francisco, or perhaps from Kennedy Space Center to Miami, depending on which frame of reference relates most to you.
SpaceX on the big loop, Houston and Hawthorne have pulled go for docking. Confirm visors down and that you are ready for approach 2.
SpaceX Crew-5, all visors are down. We are ready for approach 2.
Copy Crew-5, visors down. We're going to enable the approach shortly. As a reminder, once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted.
Copy.
Station Houston on the big loop. Dragon is resuming approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 in 1.102 Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
Station copies. We'll go.
And that's the call we wanted to hear. Dragon is go for docking. Just a few meters away from the space station now, but when we are about at the 2-meter point, you may hear a call called CHOP, and that stands for the crew hands-off period. While everything has been done autonomously today so far, when we do hear that call CHOP, it means that any re-rendezvous would need to be done automatically through Dragon, and the crew would not be initiating any of that. We are 16 meters away from the International Space Station. On the left is Crew Dragon Endurance coming in for docking. On the top right with its nose cone deployed is the Crew Dragon Freedom that is currently docked to the International Space Station and is the vehicle that Crew 4 will return home on.
Copy, 5 meters.
And that call 5 meters separating Dragon from space station. Should be about a minute until we are docked and Crew 5 is home for the next few months. Should hear that call for CHOP here momentarily.
2 meters, CHOP.
And there it was.
Copy, 2 meters.
2 meters, crew hands-off point. Happens about 25 seconds before contact.
1 meter.
1 meter.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, contact and soft capture complete. Attenuation in progress.
And contact confirmed. Dragon made contact with the International Space Station at 2:01 p.m. Pacific, just off the west coast of Africa.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, you are go for Dragon hatch opening for the decal, followed by the remaining actions in 4.400, Section 6.
Dragon copies, we're opening the forward hatch and finishing up Section 6.
And you just heard confirmation to the crew that they are go for hatch opening. That hatch we've been waiting for is now open since docking at 4:01 p.m. Central Time, 5:01 p.m. Eastern Time. Hatch opening taking place at 5:49 p.m. Central, 6:49 p.m. Eastern Time. All smiles on the International Space Station as they eagerly await the ingress of Crew-5. The hatch is open, but Crew-5 astronauts will need to work through a few more steps and gather some imagery as well. The crew inside of Dragon Endurance are installing some IMV ducting, mixing the air of the space station environment with the air inside of Crew Dragon Endurance. They'll seal some of the LiO, or lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrubbed carbon dioxide inside of Dragon capsule on the ride to the International Space Station, and they'll check some vent valves as well, so maybe just a little bit more time until we welcome them on board the International Space Station. And here we come through. First one through the hatch is going to be Nicole Mann, commander of Dragon, and now the first Native American woman to live and stay aboard the International Space Station. All hugs and smiles going around. Next one through the hatch is Josh Cassada, the pilot of Dragon. He's getting his welcome and hellos from the crew aboard International Space Station. And we see right now, right past Nicole Mann's hair, is Koichi Wakata of JAXA coming through the hatch. And last but not least, Anna Kikina of RosCosmos just entered the International Space Station, and Crew-5 is officially ingressed from Dragon Endurance into their home for the next 6 months, the International Space Station. And with the addition of Crew-5 on board, there is currently 11 astronauts inside the International Space Station.
And station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
And Houston, this is station. We are ready for the event.
And Samantha, we'll let you kick it off.
Fantastic. It's been an honor and a pleasure today to welcome on board Crew-5, on board on Crew Dragon Endurance. It's just fantastic to finally have you guys on board. And this is a very special crew. Because it's the first time that we have a Russian cosmonaut flying on a Crew Dragon. So a very special welcome to Anna, who broke the ice on this crew swap that is so important for the resilience and the robustness of our operations on space station. It's also the third time that ISS has the pleasure of welcoming Koichi on board. So welcome back to your home in space, Koichi. And this is also a special flight because Duke and Josh are the very last 8 balls to make it to space. And so to celebrate this, we have a special gift. So without further ado, I'm sure your guys' family want to hear from you. So here's the mic.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Samantha. It's incredible to be in space. Mom, look, I'm finally in space. It's been such a pleasure training with this amazing crew, and we're looking forward to getting to work here on Expedition 68. We've had a chance to thank a lot of people in the past day and a half or so that we've been flying, but I don't know that I had a chance to thank my husband and son. Thank you guys so much. I love you, and Mom and Dad, and my sister Kirsten. Thank you.
I also want to thank Nicole's husband and son for lending her to us. You know, I've been very, very lucky my entire life to be a part of some amazing teams, and it enables us to do some absolutely phenomenal things. And to come up here and meet some of the greatest friends I've ever known and get to spend some time with them up here is just, it's breathtaking. Also, I am so thankful to my family for enabling me to do this. I know it's been a complete pain, but it is certainly worth it. And thank you. Thank you to everybody who's enabled us to do this. And that doesn't mean just the people who know what they're doing. Everyone in my life has contributed in some small way to this, and I can't thank you enough.
Samantha, thank you for the warm introduction, and it's great to be back in Jersey, and this is like coming back to a home away from home for me, and I really appreciate my family's support for me to be able to do this. And I also like to thank everyone who supports the International Space Station Program, SpaceX, NASA, RosCosmos, CSA, European Space Agency, and of course my home agency, JAXA. I really appreciate all the help you provided to make this happen. I cannot wait to work with this wonderful crew on Expedition 68.
Yes, we overflow with emotions, with feelings, with glad. And really glad to share that time with the guys on the station. I really happy share my time with that people and with everybody who with us, who did a lot of job for existing all of that, and for all people who just glad in with us, glad for us. Sharing with us your feelings. It's super for people. Теперь по-русски. Я очень рада.
Something in Russian. I'm so very happy.
Я очень рада, что я здесь.
I'm extremely happy that I'm here. Really, I'd like to say in Russian. A lot of people are working hard and will keep working hard to make sure that everything, this our common manned space exploration will continue to exist. To develop further. We're here and we're living proof of it. You see, I was given flowers. This is so wonderful to have international friends and these communications here and on the ground. This is wonderful. And of course, my big hello to everybody on Earth, and to my family, to my husband, Angelina, my mom, my brothers, to everybody who was able to come and support me at the launch site. It was a miracle that you managed to actually make it to the launch site. And here you see, this toy is a symbol of my city, Novosibirsk. His name is Gorodovichok. So, guys, everything is super.
Awesome, and your families are awesome. And thank you also from our side for all you guys' support. And Crew-5, welcome to Expedition 68. And that concludes the event.
Thank you, station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.